You have resisted. Fear love no more, Alvaro, but never confuse it with desire. The Devil in Love is a short novel written by Jacques Cazotte and first published in 1772. Considered one of the precursors of fantastic literature and the Gothic genre, this tale embodies the 18th century fascination with the supernatural and the forbidden. Originally blending the currents of Enlightenment rationalism with a profound attraction to mystery. Jacques Cazotte was born in Dijon, France, in 1719. After a Jesuit education, he embarked on a legal and administrative career that took him as far as Martinique. Upon returning to France, he settled in Pierre, near Epernay, and devoted himself to writing. His early works were satirical, but with The Devil in Love, he found a new and profound register, influenced by Martinism, a Christian esoteric movement born in the 18th century, which aimed at man's reintegration with the divine, following his presumed original fall through a path of moral and spiritual perfection. Developed by Louis-Claude de Saint-Martin, Martinism proposed a path of inner initiation based on knowledge of the heart, meditation, virtue, and personal transformation. Cazotte, close to these circles, translated their principles into a veiled narrative in which the protagonist symbolically faces the same stages as the initiate: doubt, temptation, revelation, and finally liberation. The story begins in the heart of the Kingdom of Naples in the 18th century, the capital, which at that time, under the enlightened guidance of Charles III of Bourbon, was experiencing an extraordinary cultural flowering, becoming one of the most prestigious centers in Europe. Under Charles III's reign, institutions such as the Academy of Sciences, the Capodimonte Museum, and the Botanical Garden were founded. The university was reorganized, and public education was promoted. But beyond this push toward reason and knowledge, Naples jealously preserved a precious ancient soul, populated with rites, legends, and magical beliefs that permeated daily life in the city. Like a veil of wisdom and esotericism, between the alleys of popular neighborhoods and aristocratic salons, one breathed a dual energy, that of rational thought and that of mystery. It is in this cultured and contradictory scenario that Alvaro appears, an emblematic figure of the restless and curious young nobleman. He embodies the inner conflict of the era, the tension between the desire for knowledge and fascination with the unknown. One evening, Alvaro shuts himself in his room, lit only by the flickering light of some candles. Before him, an ancient manuscript in Latin. With a barely perceptible voice, he begins to recite the ritual. But as the words flow, a shiver runs through the air, and the environment seems to change around him. Invisible spirits of the ether, manifest yourselves. Suddenly the flames lower, the temperature drops. A force envelops him. He is no longer alone. A presence makes its way through the darkness. The words spoken, drawn from arcane and forbidden knowledge, act as keys that open a door to another world. "Who calls me?" whispers an ethereal and crystalline voice that doesn't seem to belong to this plane of existence. "I am ready to serve my lord." Before him appears Biondetta. She is not an infernal vision, but a young woman of extraordinary beauty, with deep eyes and refined manners. She says she is at his service, ready to follow him anywhere. Alvaro is troubled, but doesn't reject her. Rather, he welcomes her presence with growing wonder and desire. Thus begins a journey that takes them from Naples to Rome, and finally to Venice, places of dreams, places of trial. In Rome, Alvaro is a guest in an ancient palace where every room seems populated by invisible whispers. Here, Biondetta, dressed in elegant but never excessive clothing, speaks to him with a calm voice about the purity of the soul, the illusion of the senses, and the necessity of detachment from passions. With words that seem to come from a wisdom treatise, she tells him, "True freedom is born from mastery over oneself, and only he who knows how to renounce deserves authentic love." Alvaro listens to her as if hypnotized, torn between desire and sense of duty. One evening, surrounded by ancient busts and silent trees, the tension becomes palpable. Biondetta looks into his eyes and murmurs, "If you wanted, you could make me yours. But would you still love me, knowing what I really am?" Alvaro, trembling, extends his hand toward her. He barely touches her, and in that instant, my sight became clouded, my senses confused, my heart seemed to extinguish, he writes himself. It is a moment suspended in time, in which reality dissolves and the soul is called to decide which side to take. In Venice, the city of water and masks, the sense of dream becomes even stronger. Guests in a silent villa on the lagoon, the two live in apparent domestic harmony, but Alvaro's inner torment grows. One night during Carnival, he follows Biondetta through the canals, dressed in white and veiled. Every step of Biondetta's is light and precise, as if she knew the way even before traveling it. They stop on a black gondola, which takes them away from the noise of the festival. Alvaro, confused by wine and desire, takes her hand. "Is it really you?" he asks her with a broken voice. "Or are you just a dream?" She answers him with a look. Then, gently, she removes her glove and touches his cheek. The contact is cold, but not hostile. "Don't look beyond what you can bear, Alvaro," she murmurs. "Remember that appearance is a fragile gift. The heart sees more than sight, if you allow it." The tolling of bells mixes with the sound of water and the trembling of Alvaro's heart, divided between love and the vertigo of the unknown. Every stage of the journey is a threshold, a test, and the love that seems to be born between them becomes the lens through which Alvaro scrutinizes himself. But the question remains suspended. Is what he feels true love, or a sublime deception? And is she victim or architect of the spell? Biondetta always shows herself caring, cultured, intelligent. She speaks of philosophy and love with a sweetness that disarms. She asks for nothing, imposes nothing. Alvaro writes, "She showed neither fury nor lust. She spoke to me with the sweetness of a lover and the respect of a slave." But doubt grows. Who is Biondetta really? A woman? Or the cunning mask of a demon who wants his soul? Alvaro lives a growing tension between attraction and fear. His senses give way, but his conscience resists. Biondetta suffers. "If my love troubles you, don't hate me. I desire only your happiness, even if it cannot be with me." The young man consults confessors, philosophers, theologians. No one knows how to explain. No one knows how to reassure him. Finally, Alvaro surrenders. He declares his love to her. His surrender. In that moment, the truth is revealed. The angelic figure vanishes. The true face of the demon appears. But the demon doesn't punish him. "You have resisted. Fear love no more, Alvaro, but never confuse it with desire." Biondetta disappears forever. Alvaro remains alone, but transformed. He has lived through the trial. The Devil in Love is not just a fantastic novella. It is a meditation on the ambiguity of love, on the nature of desire, and on the identity of the other. The text is loaded with esoteric symbols. The woman devil is the representation of the archetype of the dark feminine. The fallen Sophia, who accompanies the initiate in his crossing of darkness. Alvaro's resistance to carnal temptation and his ability to see beyond appearance become the allegory of inner purification, dear to the Martinist vision. This refusal is not repression, but recognition of the illusory nature of uncontrolled desire. Biondetta, with her ambiguity and superhuman perfection, embodies the most seductive and dangerous part of the self, that which pushes us to desire what we don't understand, to pursue what we fear. Cazotte therefore offers us not only an enchanting tale, but also an intellectual and spiritual challenge. Recognizing good sometimes requires the courage to look where one fears, to discover evil, and to accept that evil itself can be the messenger of a higher form of awareness. Not yielding to the flesh, not possessing what one loves, is what distinguishes the initiate from the common person. Cazotte was close to mystical and occultist circles, and in this work he channeled initiatory symbolism into an enveloping and ambiguous plot. During the French Revolution, the author, a fervent monarchist and Catholic, was accused of counter-revolutionary conspiracy. Cazotte had predicted with disturbing precision many of the revolutionary events that would befall France, so much so as to fuel around him a reputation as a seer. Arrested in 1792, he was sentenced to death. Legend tells that shortly before execution, he accepted his destiny with serenity and dignity, accompanied by his daughter Elizabeth, who tried in vain to save him. In 2005, Donzelli Publishers published the volume The Devil, Tempter, in Love, which pairs Cazotte's original tale with an unpublished work signed by Andrea Camilleri, The Devil Who Tempted Himself, a literary dialogue between Cazotte's 18th century and Camilleri's contemporaneity, uniting two visions of the devil, the romantic and mysterious one of the original, and the satirical, secular, and reflective one of the Sicilian author. Proof that inner demons, although they change form, remain eternally part of our life and our imagination.